Hey everybody. If you've been watching our street interviews and documentaries over the years, you might have had questions about the founder's vision for Asian Boss. Well, as one of the co-founders, I had a chance to sit down with my co-founder and our CEO, Steven, to share our honest thoughts. Why should you watch this video to the end? First, we've never done this conversation format in the past 10 years, and this was also our last conversation at our studio. We poured our hearts into building our studio from scratch and conducted some of our most meaningful and impactful interviews there. However, in order to continue our mission with AsianBoss.io and Bootstrap, we had no choice but to shut it down to cut costs. It's obviously painful, but we'll never give up on our mission to bring people together by building cultural bridges and understanding. If this conversation resonates with you, we hope you join AsianBoss.io. We are slowly but surely getting there with a lot of passionate and curious people from around the world signing up. So let's be the force of awesomeness together. On to our conversation. Steven's nervous. He can't handle interviewing Kay.
We're not interviewing, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah, you're not even looking at me, Steven.
So I do have to say, this is pretty weird because I think I've interviewed possibly hundreds of people over the past decade. And then to have you, somebody I literally see every single day,
Yes.
To be sitting this directly face to face, I have to say it's a little bit weird. But I think this was your idea. You thought that it would be cool to have an honest conversation like this. And when I heard the idea, I'm like, yes, because people actually don't know how close we actually are because we're almost never seen in a video together, right? So how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think I'm just wondering why we haven't done this any earlier.
Yeah.
You know? And another thing that I could say is typically I don't really show my real thoughts and self too much because I'm mainly in intros or behind the camera for a lot of the time. And so I think it's a rare occasion that I can just kind of share my own thoughts as well.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure. We've known each other for a long time. I'd say almost getting close to 20 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's about 20 years now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Even just before getting into how we met, how do you feel like how we've evolved from those times?
I think for us, obviously, about 10 years was friendship, and then 10 years was friendship / working relationship. And I think when it comes to working relationships, I think in a lot of these cases, it's because people have ego, right? They have their own self-interest, and I think one of the things which I think is important is that I think we respect each other, and also another thing which I kind of decided was, I'll say my opinion, but then, and I'll say, whatever my opinion is to the best I can, even if I'm, like disagreeing with something, for example. But at the end of the day, I'll just leave the decision up to you because I'm sure you'll have my best interest. That's kind of the trust, I gave. And so I think if you have that type of a mindset, then it's quite difficult to kind of, fail.
The biggest thing that I always notice is that we are moving towards the same direction. We have the same vision for the future.
Yeah, and I think another thing is it's the belief, and I also think because we just believe in getting to our destination like so much, we're determined to really get there. I think for many others, they could have like given up so many times along the way. Yet I think it's just having this what you call the
blind faith.
Yeah, blind faith.
Your mental and psychological resilience, because of your consistent habit and how you build yourself up, I actually think that mentally you've almost become stronger than me. Yeah, and I think that's just one of the most admirable traits that I get strength from that. Because even when I almost like hit the rock bottom, which we had quite a few of those, especially in the last 4 or 5 years. But then you're like, you know what? Yep, you're down. Just get the fuck up and then just dust yourself off. What actions can we take? Right? What's next? Let's stop feeling sorry for ourselves. And I'm like, yes, you're right.
I think we complement each other in different ways because, like, for example, your speed of execution of just getting stuff done. Like, if you weren't having that kind of work ethic, I'm just very slow, just in general, right? I'm just I want to actually be faster, and I try to be faster, but then just the speed of execution or trying to achieve more. I mean, that's something the strongest values, I think one of the strongest values that you have, I think, is to really push and try to get something done, and so I think without that, I don't think we would have got here in the first place. Yeah, when it comes to this perseverance, I think, I mean, but we just go through a lot, right? I mean, including the past few years going through divorce for me, as well as going through a lot within the company. I think, I mean, these are just like very, very tough things to just kind of go through. I think divorce is just one of these things which is potentially the hardest thing.
Especially if you have a child, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's a totally different level. That you go that in terms of what you go through. So
I think our character has been tested so much that even when we first met, we immediately recognized each other for what it is. Like, this is no ordinary dude, right? Because I mean, and I told you about my background. You're like, well,
actually, maybe you should share a little bit about your upbringing, a little bit, and
well, it's such a long story, but people always think of me as he used to be a fancy corporate banking lawyer. I come from a very I suppose poor family. I was working ever since I was like 13 or 14. My first ever job was just a paper run. Actually, you're the only person that I know who had more jobs than I have, and I have over 20 jobs. I did everything. Like, I cleaned toilets, worked out as a cashier at a supermarket. So I had almost 20 jobs, but you have more, I think, right?
Yeah, I think I had about 40.
Asian Boss, I never thought would be sort of my calling in life. And I think, a lot of people talk about their career. So I divide it as you have a job, and then there's your career. And then people always talk about passion, right? Do what you're passionate about. But I think there's one level above that, which is your purpose or your calling in life. And I think what gives both of us true meaning in almost like our existence right now is this, exactly what we are doing. When did you realize that Asian Boss was gonna be something like more than just a career or passion?
I mean, honestly, before I started Asian Boss, I was going through a phase in life where, I mean, but my father passed away a couple of years before we started Asian Boss, and I also did the volunteer work at Habitat in India for building houses there for the the people who are called untouchables, because with the monsoon rain, basically it wipes out all the houses that you have to rebuild every year, and obviously that's not really a good thing. With my father, basically it just made me realize that I was doing architecture back at that time, but then I realized that I was doing architecture more for my father because he was an interior designer, and I kind of lost the way in a way, because initially I wanted to do something with my father, but he passed away. And then And then as for, Habitat for Humanity and building houses there, it kind of maybe started to have this, how would I call it? I started to kind of evolve this emotion to, doing something good to the world, maybe, doing something meaningful. And through Asian Boss, obviously we started with street interviews and mini docus and all the hero content that we create. But I think all of this just kind of came step by step. And then eventually it was just something where I just felt like, oh my God, I can do this even on a day off. I think the most difficult time is, like the past couple of years, where when you really go through a lot of, different types of hardships, even within the company. I think, look, sometimes like it's tough to wake up in the morning, but the thing is, at the end of the day, we have this, drive to make Asian Boss something, so incredible that it actually gives a lot of positive impact to this world.
Our favorite catchphrase was it? We want to be the force for good.
Force of awesomeness.
Yeah. In your case, you always say your mantra is like, "I'm the force of awesomeness."
Yeah. That's right.
And at first, I was like, "Does that grammatically make sense?" But I'm like, "Okay."
I don't know. It just makes me happy just saying it. So.
Oh, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Because I think you become the living embodiment of that mantra because you say it so much.
To. So typically, I realized that, human beings are made out of habits. And so that's why I really try to have that 15 minutes of meditation in the morning. And then on top of that, I would do some affirmations. And that's just a part of the affirmations. And I even wrote down affirmations for my daughter as well, so that
it's kind of funny because you said how you guys look in the mirror together.
Look in the mirror together, and it's like, I work hard, and then it's like, I work hard.
This is instilling the right set of Asian values.
Yeah. She's 5 years old right now, so and I'm co-parenting right now, and I want to give my best to her, so I really try to instill some of the values that I might have. I mean, the whole street interviews that we basically do is actually listening to different types of perspectives and learning from it, and then you're utilizing your own critical thinking skills. And I think hopefully people get from the the hero content that we create.
Let's define what hero content is, because people don't know what that means.
Sure. So we call hero content where we can help for a particular social issue, or at least raise awareness for something, and we try to take action within it. And ideally, the action could be, giving some money to them, or helping them with something. And we try to demonstrate that in our videos, so that
we're not just talking about it.
We're just not talking about it. And another thing is, we want to give hope, and I think hope is just something which every single human being needs, especially when they're going through tough times.
You don't see a lot of human ingenuity, creativity, and I think I really felt it because given our sort of multicultural upbringing. We had the benefit of being educated in both Asian and Western environment, and we took, the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Yeah, actually, going back to that particular point, I mean, the whole reason why we thought this could be a value add is because we understood both cultures, and therefore we wanted to bring that bridge, because globally, people just weren't aware about how people think, how Korean people think, how Japanese people think, or all these different Asian countries. There's so many Asian countries, that we wanted to spread that awareness. And so, that's where we initially thought this could be our value add. And, that's why we started Asian Boss.
Another question I asked myself, had we known, or had I known, the type of challenges that would lie ahead, would I still have gotten to this whole thing? Usually it's out of like some dumb innocence, like, oh yeah, we can do this. That we're a bit reckless, and that's the only way to get things done, because if you do the math and you know how tough it is going to be for real, then how many people can actually do what they do? I don't know. So I think that probably illustrates how tough this journey has been. I mean, it's very meaningful. I wake up every day knowing exactly what to do. But yeah, we just had a lot of issues, didn't we? I really understand why companies fail, and why sometimes it might actually be better to let the company fail than trying to save it like what we are doing right now. People might be under the impression that after we did this incredibly successful funding campaign, everything's been just amazing ever since. But the real problem of that are people related, everything, the aftermath, it's actually a lot tougher to deal with. And you've seen me go through physical and mental breakdown, having to deal with people and losing people that I cared about.
I think people only kind of in our shoes might be able to relate to something like this. We've tried doing so many different types of, business models in a way, and then a lot of things, they just might not resonate with our audience, or it just may not work as well. And I think, this type of challenge you only realize once you see all these kind of trial and errors, and we still want to keep trying, so that eventually we're hoping that we can give something more valuable for people, that people really see value, but to get there, that journey is just very difficult. And I think that's why a lot of media companies, I think they struggle. I mean, even Vice goes bankrupt. Even another media company that we know of in Asia got pretty much bankrupt. I think as well. They went out of business as well. And I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is until they actually do it. And I think that's the part where it's super easy to say in the comments. The reality is that we're just really trying our best. You're trying your super hardest. I mean, you're the one who takes on so much responsibility in order to actually do something. And it's just sad that there's so many hate comments as well.
What we are doing right now requires a lot of trial and error. The thing is, we have to do that while having zero resources. So how do you try something new when, you're literally like struggling to go on, even at a personal level? Because I think how long has it been now since we actually completely stopped paying ourselves?
Yeah, it's been a long time. And people might have thought like, okay, with the crowdfunding money, and but we've tried so many, even for new hires, which may not even have worked out at the end of the day, or we try, but the thing is, sometimes the world doesn't go the way which you believe it should.
All we can do is try our absolute freaking best to just kill people with value, give them more and more value, deliver just beyond whatever they thought was possible. And there are still so many things we haven't tried, right? So we're just trying to extend our run rate just a little bit so we can survive and try something new, and then survive and try something new.
And honestly, I mean, my honest thoughts on AsianBoss.io is, it's AsianBoss.io is our hope, our hope that people can get together and people can you know, build this community in a way, this hope that, you know, we can continue to, you know, serve the world in a way that we and hopefully do bigger and better things in the future as well, in terms of, you know, the impact that we can give. Or at least I just thought that it makes the most sense. But at the same time, I do realize that we just need to keep on going until, you know, it's something valuable for the people.
Even our closest friends would say, you guys have suffered long enough. And they're saying that for our benefits, which I appreciate, but at the same time, it's not helping when they say, just walk away. You've done enough.
I think it kind of goes deeper than, hey, let's just try out a product and then let's just see how it works. And then if it doesn't work, let's just like, you know, drop it and just move on to the next thing. I think it kind of depends on the perspective. Like, for example, for everybody, they say that, you know, like a business is like a baby, right? But then for me, what I'm thinking is, well, if it is your baby,
do you
like,
let your baby
die?
Yeah.
Like, are you, like, if your baby's drowning, are you gonna let it drown? Like, you know, are you gonna let your baby drown? Like, no, you're gonna try your freaking best to, you know, stop that from happening, right? As a parent, right? And that's what we do for our business. And I think, you know, sure, a business might not equate a human being, but I think intuitively you kind of know which there are things worth fighting for, and there are things which you can drop. And that's when you realize, if your intuition says that this is worth fighting for, you go full force, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, and let's say if everything didn't work out at the end of the day, if that was the case, that is the case. We, you know, we have to, you know, move on then. But I think that's just that, you know, lingering hope that, you know, we just feel maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there which could actually manifest itself, which isn't there yet, you know.
And I think on that, we're absolutely on the 100% on the same page. But yeah, I think people around us, even our friends, they're like, hey, you guys are doing okay, right? You guys are like, you guys have like almost 4 million subscribers, blah, blah, blah. Don't you guys make enough money from YouTube ads? Well, do you know how low our CPM is because we talk about all these like serious social issues that nobody wants to advertise the shit on, and then
yeah, I was surprised how much CPM these finance YouTubers make, for example. It's just like
it's
completely different.
wow, I would say it's easily like 6-7 times
Yeah, something like that.
like RPM, CPM, whatever you call it. And we were like, wow, maybe we should have talked about like finances and how to make money or something.
And I think it might be good to just kind of, you know, share potentially our plans as well of what you know, what we're really hoping for. So for us, we're not really joking when we said we want to try new things. You know, we want to, for example, we want to actually teach people how to, you know, do you know, interviews or you know, become a creator, you know, so that they can also share different types of, you know, perspectives to you know, creating merch, for example, doing offline events like, you know, gathering with people, even conferences in the future. I think these are all things you know, which we'd love to get to. And then on top of that, be able to actually make impacts through the content that we create as well, especially hero content as well. You know, I think these are the types of things that we'd love to do.
When did you realize how powerful our content actually was? When was the first time you realized that?
I was just shocked that people were willing to donate so much money towards the Korean elderly poverty situation, and we were able to help, I think, over 50,000 people for meals.
I mean, we literally helped set up the charity
Yeah,
that now they're just serving so many senior citizens. And that was just from one video. Seeing other people being lifted up, there's just something about that. It just restores your faith in humanity. That's what brings people together, right?
yeah, and creating a ripple effect as well.
Yeah, because like, oh, if these guys can do it, maybe I can do something.
Yeah, this was the same as crowdfunding as well. Like, I think at that particular point, we were just about to, go bankrupt in a few months, and then we weren't even sure if our community would, get together and do such a thing. And yeah, I just remember the fact that we just lost words while we were just having lunch that day. We just couldn't talk because we were just overwhelmed by this appreciation and just everything at that point.
Funny enough, the situation is such that we are much smaller, much leaner. I mean, we cut so much cost, yet because we've been trying and failing on doing attempting to do so many different things that ended up didn't working out. Ironically enough, we are sort of in a worse situation than we were at the time. But we know that we cannot, at least what I see as begging for money again. And I think, although that wasn't my intention, I think a recent message video, I think a lot of people did interpret it that way, which is unfortunate. And yeah, it doesn't matter. We just keep on surviving. And, I mean, because that crowdfunding, that was enough for us to almost confirm our suspicion that there are people out there who support what we do. And, the global economic condition being what it is, and plus post-pandemic, world that we live in, I appreciate that everybody's struggling right now. So why should Asian Boss survive? Because if the market doesn't want our products, it's like, you let the market do the talk, right?
It's very interesting because I definitely believe that we serve a need for Asian Boss. And the reason is because there's mainstream media out here, sensationalized political news. There's like travel vloggers type of, people on the other spectrum who are sharing their, travels of what happened, etc. But then it's very difficult to still hear about ordinary people's opinions or stories on so many different things. And I definitely think street interviews serve that particular, part. I mean, you mentioned this in the message video previously as well, but it's so difficult there's so many experts in their own language in Asia. But that's why you don't see a Joe Rogan of Asia, because of all these language barriers, because every country is Japanese is Japan, Korean is Korean, Chinese is Mandarin. Like it's everything is fragmented, that in order to really kind of get to know each other, unite stuff, like people have to create that understanding. And having different languages, as much as there's a beauty to that,
it's hard to bring people together.
It's hard to bring people together, and I think that's where we really try to serve that particular kind of need in a way, just like how we did with how you did with the COVID professor. A lot of people just couldn't get that type of information in the United States, for example. You know. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people appreciated that one-on-one interview that you did with Professor Kim, right? And it's just that when it comes to trying to monetize these values, it's quite difficult, I mean, COVID, doctor's expert interview, who's gonna put a sponsorship deal towards that? Like no one, right? I still believe that in terms of value that we could add, we are adding value. It's just that I think maybe people have particular mindsets towards particular things, like, hey, do you want to pay for news? Probably not for a lot of people, right? So I think this is where the challenge is, and maybe this is why a lot of the business models like struggle for media companies in the first place. Obviously, I'm open to thinking about different types of business models, but I think it just has to make sense at the end of the day for the market and for us. And for my daughter, like, I want her to, live in a world, where there's less judgments, for example, people feeling compassionate towards each other, doing good for the world, giving value to the world. I think those types of things, I'd love my daughter to see. And my personal dream is that I would even do these, hero content, or traveling to, different even Asian countries to really connect people and show, positive, humanity, positiveness, to the world. And if I can even do that with my daughter as well, once she grows up, I think that would be a very cool, wonderful thing to do. Of course, like, we have to make sense as a business, but I think this type of mentality of continuously being useful
to society.
I think that's just something which is just very important. And
in one day, it's not just us talking like this, but there are actually people out there who articulate our vision for us, as opposed to us always just saying it among ourselves, like, oh, this is the world that we envision. Hopefully it's other people who say that for us, and then we'll know that, yep, we made it.
I just hope that, people who are watching, they feel something when they watch this video. They feel that, we are actually speaking the truth. We're not, like, hopefully something, within the people strikes a chord, hopefully. Hopefully something resonates. And I'm just hoping that, the community can, get together, that we can do something amazing. I think that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, we'll make it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time today, and
see you next time. Let's go back to work.